Have you ever noticed how some leaders seem to gain remarkable insight from life, regardless of the circumstances they face? There's a reason that their insight grows, and it's not because they simply have had certain experiences. In this video, I want to explore how to cultivate and harness wisdom to become a more effective bivocational leader. Let's go. Hey everybody, it's Coach Arnold. As a bivocational leader, balancing corporate responsibilities with a spiritual calling requires more than having experiences and gathering information. True wisdom is not found in the knowledge we collect, but in how we use our experiences to shape a desired outcome. Today, I want to share some strategies that allow leaders like us to gain wisdom and apply it in both our professional lives and our spiritual lives. In our fast-paced lives, it's easy to let experiences just wash over us without us paying attention or absorbing some of their lessons. But these lessons should really become the wisdom that we share with our teams and our organizations. Many people go through life passively, allowing emotions and other external circumstances to really shape the way they see all of life. But true wisdom comes from reflection. So for the bivocational leader, reflection is intentional. We are intentional about using our experiences to create a positive impact towards the future that we desire. Think of it this way. A person without a reflective process feels like life is lifing all over them. And that becomes so frustrating that they will more easily allow others to define their reality. They feel that every difficulty is attributed to external factors such as racism or inequality. But a leader who is willing to reflect deeply can extract valuable lessons from those same difficulties, transforming them into wisdom that drives positive change. For example, imagine a leader who feels that they have hit a ceiling in their career. They could easily point to company politics or external biases as the reason for their stagnation. Why? Because those things exist. But the leader who is intentional about reflection can look to grow their wisdom and produce a completely different outcome. They could use this perceived ceiling to identify gaps in their leadership approach. They could use it to make adjustments, enabling them to break through those perceived barriers. Now, I hear you saying, why does this have to be so hard though? Shouldn't it be easier? Well, as one of my favorite speakers of all time, Jim Rohn says, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. So how do you get better at reflecting to gain wisdom? One of the best ways to reflect is using writing. But the thing you want to capture is wisdom in your writing and not knowledge. In today's world, information is readily accessible through search engines and AI. So writing down mere knowledge is becoming less valuable. Instead, focus on writing down wisdom. What do I mean? I mean writing down insights that you've discovered through your personal transformation. You see, wisdom is born not when you gather knowledge, but when you apply knowledge in ways that shape your growth. For instance, instead of writing notes from a book or a conference, a bivocational leader might journal about how those concepts from those resources have influenced their decision making. This practice of capturing wisdom as opposed to knowledge will lead to deeper transformation and more meaningful progress. The first step in systemizing transformation is recognizing when you're stuck. This is key for bivocational leaders, as it allows us to initiate personal transformation. Some signs might include Being in the same job for 3 to 5 years with no desire to learn or pursue new roles. Having no new people that are seeking your advice or mentorship. A lack of enthusiasm for sharing your ideas. Feeling satisfied with small, incremental salary increases. If you recognize any of these signs, it may be time to initiate a shift. Reflect on what's keeping you stuck and be intentional about the steps that you want to take toward the growth that you want to have. Once you recognize that you're stuck, the next step is to develop a system for your personal transformation. Identify the strategies you'll use to move forward, whether it's a course, a coach, a certification, a conference, or maybe even a reading plan. The key is to follow your chosen strategy all the way through. You see, many people start a program or a book or a course, and they may see some initial progress. But then they get distracted by some new idea before they complete what they already started. Don't make this mistake. Document your progress and track how far you've come. And don't base your progress on external validation only. Base your progress on your inward growth, the things you've experienced, the mastery of skills, or the relationships that you've developed. For example, instead of celebrating a certificate from a leadership course, celebrate how your new leadership style is influencing your team's performance, or how your spiritual growth is deepening your ability to lead with grace and wisdom. Let's talk about modernizing your leadership expression. As you grow in wisdom, you can also grow in influence. In our modern world, your leadership influence grows as your leadership brand grows. Bivocational leaders should focus on building their personal leadership brand, not just their company's brand. And now I realize that all organizations are not the same, and some frown on building a brand outside of the company. Well, this strategy works internally as well. Let's consider a marketing leader. They might excel in their department, but their personal brand is only recognized within that space. So they can work on intentionally expanding their leadership brand outside of their team or their structure in the company. If they're in marketing, maybe they want to grow their experience with engineering or operations. They can build a reputation as a cross-functional leader, enhancing both their leadership brand and their brand inside the company. The other great thing about wisdom is that wisdom helps us to simplify things. One key lesson in wisdom is learning not to make things harder than they need to be. In the past, I've had a tendency to overcomplicate things, whether it was making money, communicating effectively, or just achieving outstanding results. But today, I've learned a few things. I've grown in my wisdom. I've learned that the most effective areas in my life are actually the areas where I've simplified achieving results. Whether that's in my marriage, or encouraging other members of my team, or making new connections. The more I simplify with wisdom, the greater my results. Another leader might apply this same principle to their communication style. They could have once believed that long, complex presentations were necessary to get their point across. But by simplifying their message and focusing on key takeaways, they are able to connect more effectively with their audience. Now I want to share an experience that I call the flow day phenomenon. The flow day phenomenon highlights an experience that happens when you consistently invest into growing your wisdom. I coined the term based on my favorite board game. It's called the cash flow game. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the game, it's a game that teaches financial literacy for your family. Everyone starts off in the rat race, and the goal is to grow your cash flow until you can make it to the fast track. The first day that you make it on the fast track, or the first time you enter on the fast track, you get a cash flow day. And whatever your cash flow was when you were in the rat race, your first cash flow day on the fast track, you get 100 times that cash flow. It's an incredible experience. Well, when you are investing in your wisdom, there are certain days when everything aligns. When your insights, your wisdom, and your breakthroughs come together effortlessly. It's such an incredible day that I call it the flow day phenomena. These days produce exponential progress. And as leaders, we must be prepared to seize those days. Now, you can't predict when they will happen, but if you maintain a daily practice of reflection and investing into wisdom, cultivating your personal breakthroughs, you'll be ready when they do. And you don't want to miss these days. It's similar to the financial markets. There are some specific days in history that if you were not invested and you missed one of those days, you missed out on incredible rewards. Likewise, in leadership, missing a flow day could mean missing a key breakthrough. So keep your system in place and be ready for those transformative moments. I want to end with this. You are a bivocational leader. You've gone through this process of developing wisdom. The last step is to share your wisdom. Share your wisdom with everyone. Share with your friends. Share with your teams. Share with like-minded people. The more wisdom you share, the more wisdom you receive. You don't have to understand how it works. Just know that it does. Now, here are a couple of principles for sharing your wisdom. Share wisdom in the areas where you have had a transformation. I know a lot of people like to share information when they've heard something good, and obviously there is nothing wrong with that. But when you share information or wisdom where you've had a transformation, there is something different that happens when your audience hears you. They can relate in a different type of way because you're not just sharing knowledge. You're sharing a part of who you are. So try to always start with wisdom from where you've had a transformation. Here's the next principle for sharing your wisdom. Develop a structure that you can use. One of the structures that I like, I learned from Wayne Malcolm. And he said that your wisdom should always include some warnings and a way forward. See, wisdom is evident in action, not just thought. And when you have had the experience of developing wisdom, there'll be some things that you can help warn people from. For example, sharing a story of how you simplified a difficult process can serve as both a warning to not overcomplicate things and as a guide for others in following the use of simplifying their own actions. Just remember to share your wisdom. In conclusion, gaining wisdom as a bivocational leader comes from intentional reflection, systemizing your personal transformation, and simplifying where possible. Wisdom manifests in your actions and in your ability to create impact. So keep building your system, and you'll find the wisdom you need to navigate both your corporate responsibilities and your spiritual mission.